Friends, welcome to a really special hobby stream here from us at Hobby Titans. And I'm here with Island Time Brian.
That's
Brian,
right.
How's it going?
I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me back on the show. It's been a little while.
It's been a little while.
Yeah, I'm excited to do some hobbying tonight.
Yeah, people everywhere thought you'd be tanner. You're about as tan as you normally are.
Yeah, you know, my first trip there, I spent a lot of time in the sun. This time I've been like getting my house set up. I've been indoors.
Yeah.
So I haven't been soaking up too much sun.
Yeah, exciting. Well, you're here for a great time because what we're doing today is finishing this board Brett and I have been cranking out for about a month now.
I've been seeing it. It's a beautiful Eldar board,
Yep.
just fantastic. And it's really exciting to be working on kind of the centerpiece here.
The centerpiece, exactly. Every board needs a centerpiece. Fans of the show know that I believe that.
That's true.
With all my heart.
It is really a thing. Even if it breaks the game, you're going to have your centerpiece.
There's going to be a centerpiece.
Yeah.
We should get into this. You ready?
I'm so ready.
Let's get creative, guys. Okay, so a recap of where we're at. What you guys see right here is some stuff that, well, actually some of these trees Adrian and I worked on all the way back in May. But you're looking here at where we are on the board so far. So there's the Deathworld forest from a couple weeks ago. We've got the Eldar Exodite hut. Again, if you need a recap, this board is designed to be like a Craftworld Eldar Webway way station. And what Brian and I are going to be working on today is the Webway portal, which is a GW kit. We'll be working on that and kind of gussying it up. Is that a good word?
That's a great word.
Gussying it up to be a centerpiece because it's a beautiful kit, but it's a little thin.
It's a little basic and simple on its own, right? It needs something around it.
It needs something around it. So here are the 3D printed Exodite huts that Brett printed out for us. We covered this about 3-4 episodes ago. And so big part of the board. You got the woods, you got the forest, everything here coming together. The water mat.
It's unique. It's kind of like that Star Wars movie where they're all battling in like 3 feet of water sort of thing.
That Rogue One.
Yeah.
A huge inspiration, actually. I loved that like imagery,
That's
even
cool.
from the trailer.
I agree.
Yeah, and I've always wanted to do like just sort of like a water board.
Yeah, this is the universe we're talking about. There should be endless combinations, right?
Right.
And whoever gets to play on boards like this.
Exactly. So very excited, really excited to be kind of jumping in and getting the final component of this board completed. Now, off air, I did make a couple things. Brian, maybe if you want to hold this up a little bit and show folks.
Yeah, you made a few pieces like this, right?
Yeah, we have a couple of these. These are like your
Show it on the claim.
Yeah, these are like your classic L's. Adrian loves L's. We all do. It's not
We all
just
love
Adrian.
L's. L shape is the perfect for the game, basically.
A little bit of deployment zone L's here. So we try to make deployment zone L's for everything we make. These are quick L's, and this stone recipe is a little different than my normal stone recipe. And you guys are going to get to see that happen today because Brian is going to be working on
That's right.
the stone on the centerpiece. Let's sort of show what the centerpiece is going to look like.
Okay, let's piece it together.
Piece
It's
it
made of
together.
a few different pieces, right?
It's made of a few different pieces.
So the first piece we have is made out of pink foam. It's already primed black here.
Yep.
But that's what you can see. And it's kind of, it's actually made, despite the irregular shape, it's actually kind of rectangular.
Yeah.
Which is really good. When you create something that's too big and square, it takes up too much of the board.
Right.
Rectangle, it's great. You create alleyways, but this is kind of plain on its own. Even though you can see it's actually kind of weird looking, but it's weird for a very specific reason.
Yeah, now on top of this, because this flatness looks a little silly, I know. Maybe let's go to the top down, Brian.
Okay,
and show
yeah.
this. So on top here, what we're going to have is these pieces. These are MDF, and they're from a company called Death Ray Designs. And they have been, you guys can kind of see, they've been painting the mother of pearl color. They haven't given their green tint yet. Okay, and so what I decided first, again, the circle creates a problem, which is that circles are fine, but when you try to hide behind them in game,
Yeah. It just doesn't work as effective. But it's also boring a little bit.
Yeah.
And the other thing about it is, it actually didn't fit the Webway portal on it.
Exactly.
So there were lots of reasons why it didn't work. But you can see you kind of fit it in here in an interesting shape, kind of made this piece of terrain your own.
Yeah.
Right? Which is great.
We've got like this S here, and then the Webway portal can go really like anywhere. Usually
Yeah,
here.
but that's where it goes there.
Yeah.
So if you showed from the front there, you can
From
kind
the
of see.
front, a little bit better.
So you could use this as a piece of obscuring terrain in Warhammer 40K, or if you know the rules of 40K, you could use it as a piece of dense terrain. It's actually quite flexible, but we were also very cognizant not to make it too tall. so that models can actually get up and move over it. Because sometimes if you make a centerpiece that's too big,
Yeah.
everyone just avoids it.
Yeah.
And you want people to play on it, to have an epic battle right in the center of it, right?
Yeah, no. Initially, I had wanted to be up 4 or 5 layers
Right,
of pink
because that's
foam.
cooler.
It's cooler.
It's just not super usable.
I think I will probably go back and make that.
Yeah.
Put on
And
top
there's,
of a
you
few
didn't
more
show, there's
rocks.
actually a circular piece
Oh yeah,
here.
which actually,
There's a circular piece that's kind of like a raised walkway or like entrance in or something.
I sort of
you know?
imagine it's where like the Farseer stands as he opens the portal.
Yeah, it's like the summoning.
Yeah.
It's where they dial their Stargate.
Exactly. What I like about it
Yeah.
is it creates some asymmetry. I think
Yeah.
like a centerpiece like this, I don't know, I want a little asymmetry.
I
in my
agree.
centerpieces.
I agree.
Yeah.
So we've got foam here, wood, and we've also got the plastic.
Yep.
It's a real mixture, and in that way, it doesn't feel too much like one thing. You know, foam has this look, MDF has this look,
Yeah.
and the plastic kits even have a look, right?
Yeah.
And the nice thing is, this board has a bit of everything all the way around it. It has the plastic trees, it has, as you just saw, the foam ruins,
Yeah.
and it even has MDF bits. And the centerpiece is tying all those motifs together,
Exactly,
right? Which I
yeah.
think is really great.
And MDF in particular, we'll talk a little bit about when we work
Right.
with it today. MDF is sort of a challenge to work with, especially using TurboDork. These are two elements that, in my opinion, really say, hey, there's not a lot to work with here.
It's
Right.
very plain,
very
very
plain.
simple, and it really does show. It comes across as very plain.
Yeah.
It needs a bit of love to really bring out the best in
Yeah.
it, right?
One of the things
agree.
we'll do that'll help a lot of it with it is put some gems on it.
Yeah.
If you guys, actually, I'll show one more time. If you
Okay.
guys see here, it does have these little circles, and we've already gone ahead and painted a few gems here.
Obviously, if you're doing Eldar and you don't have the gems, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, something.
The gems are
so-
such a big piece, and the gems are all over the Webway portal itself. So this is going to help connect the portal
Yeah.
to the base. Maybe you can see here there's like little bumps everywhere. They're all over the portal. So-
Exactly. So the gems are going to help a lot, and of course, like we've done with other parts of this board so far, there will be some flora
Yeah.
growing all over it. That'll give it a little bit of texture.
Really
You
helps tie it.
You really
Yeah.
need that with MDF.
And these gems are just little glass beads
Yep.
that you've primed, and so they've got that 3D feel, and
Yeah.
they're really smooth. So
smooth.
they really actually shine naturally,
Yeah.
like a real gem once you paint them.
They do come with the kit.
Yeah.
The Death Ray designs, I think they just call it Space Elf.
Yeah,
Their
they can't
Space
use
Elf
it. They can't call it Eldar.
It's an old set.
It is
too.
an old set, and a couple of our friends have it.
Yeah.
And honestly, out of the box, it's not perfect.
No.
It really doesn't make for great play, and it doesn't look that beautiful on its own. But when you start taking the best pieces from
Yeah.
it, you can really turn it into something great.
I think so. I wanted to avoid. It comes with a lot of more MDF, like pillars,
Yeah.
that hold it up, and it gives it this very two-dimensional feel.
Yeah, it's like scaffolding.
Right.
Like,
It's
rather than-
scaffolding, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, with the other pieces we've done, there's one behind Brian, the Exodite hut.
Yeah, right.
You guys have seen it. With the Exodite hut 3D printed, with the Webway portal, which is 3D.
Right.
I was kind of like not into.
It's not going to mesh.
The 2D. Yeah.
Right. It's going to look like they're from completely different dimensions. Not even, you know what I mean?
Dimensions, yeah.
Right? It's like one is a completely different philosophy on building.
One is like Dawn of War.
Yeah. One is like
Asuryani,
low,
like Minecraft.
Yeah, one is like a low-res game. That's exactly
Yeah,
right. They just wouldn't even blend in any world. So we're doing the hard work to blend it together. So what are we going to start with today?
So let's go through the rock recipe that you're going to be doing.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
gonna hand
So I'm
that-
going to start by painting these rocks, right?
That's it.
So let's talk about the recipe.
Yeah.
We've got a number of colors here.
Yeah, we've got a few. I want to try a different line of paint other than Citadel. It's a line I've tried before, but I wanted to jump into a few different grays.
Okay.
So we've got AK and we've got neutral gray. I would say this is pretty similar to Adeptus Standard Gray.
In Mechanicus
Mechanics
Standard.
Standard Gray.
Yeah, so this is going to be essentially our base coat, but as always, we're going to use the black underneath to create deeper shadows wherever we want it. You know, things like this little curved area that goes underneath, create a bit of a deeper shadow under there.
Yep.
So great, this is our kind of base color. Then we have gray-green here as our next layer up. This is just a standard highlight over top, but it's also got a bit more green in it, which
Yep.
is great, very helpful. And then our finest highlight here,
I love this color.
blue-gray.
Yeah.
It's a very nice color.
Yeah.
Very fine, great for highlights there.
It's fairly similar to this gray, which is GW calls
The Ulthuan grain, gray. This is the high elf, whitish gray.
Right, but it's a little
a little greener.
darker, a little greener,
And it's got the saturation in it. So that's great. This one's going to be solid. Now, as soon as we finish all of that, we're actually going to do something a little interesting, which is we're going to airbrush a contrast paint over top.
Or that's actually a shade. That's not.
Oh, it's a shade. That's right. It's the Beltan wash shade, and we're essentially creating the grayscale underneath here, but it's not a grayscale. There's actually green in it, which is going to even accentuate further. We're going to get even more of the green out of this once the colors combine. And then we've got a dry brush of greenish white. It's quite a nice whitish green here.
Another color I love.
And it comes together beautifully. That's what you saw on the piece that we showed on over here. That's exactly the recipe you saw there. And we're just going to replicate it. Of course, because this piece has the white on top, we don't necessarily need to put a lot of love into this flat area, mostly into these rocks that are coming out on the edges and then around the whole edge here.
Yeah. So I'm super excited about like making a new rock recipe. I usually use the same rock recipe over and over again.
Okay.
And maybe make like 1 or 2 changes, or the tint is usually what changes.
Right.
And you know, I'm really excited for your dry brush color. Was it greenish white?
Yeah.
I want a paint line. Paint makers out there. I came up with a paint line.
Okay.
I haven't mentioned this to you yet. Okay. Tell me what you think about this paint line.
Love to hear it.
So you take black, and then you take like 5 grays, going from like Corvus black, like charcoal. You go to like a dark gray, a medium gray, a light gray, and like a very, very, very light gray.
Okay.
And then white. Okay.
This is your line.
This is my line.
Okay.
And then all the line is it holds true to like all those colors, but you take any one of them. Okay. It changes depending on the color.
Got it.
And you add like 5% of a tint in.
Oh, okay.
Or then like maybe.
So you want all the colors kind of in that same gradient.
In that same gradient.
But also with very little saturation.
Very little saturation.
Yeah.
And like degrees of saturation. So like, here's a white with 2% green added.
Yeah.
Here's a white with 8% green added.
Right.
And maybe when they get successful, here's one with 16%.
Okay.
Like every single, like just all these color combos, like basically purple.
Yeah.
But
you want very subtle,
white,
very subtle saturation here
exactly.
in predictable gradients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want like a whole paint line that's just grays and blacks and whites with like a little touch of color.
I'm sure somebody out there knows of a company that has something just like that.
Yeah, actually, if somebody does. Everybody has mixes of it, is the thing.
Yeah, right.
But AK, they have some cool ones. They have black, red.
AK is great paint. I haven't used this particular acrylic modeling colors. I've used many AK paints, and I love AK paints. So, but I haven't used this particular line. I've used their a historical series of paints. I love those paints. Beautiful, beautiful paints.
I have not, because
stunning.
Yeah, I've had some hot takes on historical games on this show.
No, but those paints are amazing.
Yeah, but I'm in hot water with that community, so I've got to.
Well, I love the historical gaming.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
So what are you going to be starting on?
So while Brian is doing this, I'm actually going to jump in and, believe it or not, start right away with the gems. I'm going to show you guys a way to do gems a little bit differently. And we're going to kind of get a focus view in here. So, Brian, when you get a chance, let's do top down, and we'll do zoom.
Let me just ask you quickly here. How much do you typically water these paints? I haven't used it much.
None.
This is an air paint?
Yep.
All right.
Through the Badger, it's not going to need it at all.
Trusty old Badger.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Okay, so when we're talking gems here, I want to kind of show you guys our technique here. We are creating a gradient. We cover the whole gem black, and then we're gradiating, right? So black, and then we have like a very dark silver. This is Citadel Lead Belcher. Citadel Runefang Steel. I'm going to use Minotaur Snow White. You could also use, this is a slightly cool white. You could use a neutral white. You could use White Scar from Citadel. I'm also going to use the Citadel Technical Soulstone Blue. This is how I've been doing all of the stones for the Asuryani Webway board that we're working on. You can see the idea here. This one airbrushed. We start in the top left with black, okay, and then we're almost doing like crescents, and they're getting smaller and smaller, and we're hitting just the bottom with white here. This one is airbrushed. I'm going to show you guys how to do it both by hand and airbrushed. And I'm going to do it before I do anything else on the model, which is a little unusual, but we're going to mask it at the end, and that's going to help preserve it and keep it from getting airbrushed by something else. So let's start right away with the hand paint. This has already been primed black, as you guys can see. So I just take lead belcher, shake it up nice, and it goes fast. All I'm doing is putting like a single crescent shape, just like that. And we want to leave a big spot of black, maybe close to 3/4 of the gem up at the top here. That spot of black is going to save us from a lot of problems, believe it or not, when we use the technical paint, because we're going to push the technical paint, which can be a little streaky. We're going to push it up into the black. Now, you could wait for your paint to completely dry here, and that is almost certainly what I would recommend. So don't do it when it's wet. Okay, just giving it here a quick sec to dry. And then we're going to next move on to Rune Fang Steel. The crescent this time is going to be just a little bit smaller. We're going to leave some of lead belcher up top. We come just down here again to a little more of the crescent right there, like that. Okay, you see we're starting to get that gradient. And it's big. Like, you don't want to skip out on any of these steps for gems this big. Finally, as this one is drying, real quick, I'm going to hit it with Minotaur Snow White. I like Minotaur Snow White so much, and its buddy, Minotaur Skull White, because they're fairly translucent. They work great in an airbrush, and they also work great with a brush. Final step here, we do just a quick, tiny crescent down here to give it just like this little area of lightness, like that. Okay, there's our gem. Before we put the technical on it, cleaning my brush. Okay, cover this up here. Finally, the Soulstone Technical Paint. With this, give it a good shake. This can be, like I said, a little streaky, and as a result, we're going to use the black part of the gem to really save our bacon here, because what we're going to do is we're going to move up into the black part. As you guys can see here. Okay, and we have a little bit of the white on there, but that's going to be okay. We can kind of play with that and keep it down at the bottom. Pushing everything up towards the black, where we're going to cover any kind of streaky mistakes we have. Okay. Now, if you can do a gem with an airbrush, if you're airbrushing, I would recommend it. Believe it or not, I'd even recommend it first and then masking it, which is what we're going to do here real quick. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this. It's going to look like I'm spraying all over the model, and then we're going to mask it and then paint the rest of the model. Again, you're kind of thinking the same thing. You're just going down, leaving a little bit of that area black right there. So once that's black, give it a second to dry. Okay. Doing a quick clean out of my airbrush, but not a super thorough one, because my next color is just a gradient of the first color. Okay, same kind of process as when we did it by hand. This is the Rune Fang Steel. And again, we're giving it like really just barely any hit at all, right there like that. Real fast. Okay, once again, real quick, just gonna rinse out my airbrush. If you have a fine airbrush, like a Sotar or something that is a finer needle, you can make great progress on gems that are like on terrain or tanks. In a second, I'll show you guys a technique, the consideration, let's say, when you're doing something on infantry. Okay, then finally, again, just like we did, we're gonna hit this with just a little bit of white, pretty much just like that. That's it, literally like one quick blast. Rinsing out one more time. And believe it or not, you can run Soulstone Technical through an airbrush. I would probably normally run it through a thicker airbrush because you don't need to worry about you know, spraying all over the place, because again, we're going to just cover all this up anyway. But the Sotar should be able to handle just a little tiny bit of it. Okay, there it is coming out. And we just hit it. And there it is. You could do the whole model like this, mask the gems. I would use AK or some, they make a great putty. You can also use silly putty. Silly putty falls back to its shape a little quicker than this. So when you go and you mask all your gems, you got to paint right away, because if you don't, the putty gravity will take over and the putty will fall. If you're doing a really tiny gem, like something like on the Zangor right here, one of these gems, I would skip all the different gradient levels personally, and I would just do the black and the lead belcher, the darkest silver. I wouldn't bother with the lighter two colors. You could, if you wanted to, you could see how far you could get, but you're gonna have a hard time getting any kind of like decent amount of paint in there. And then using the technical paint, it's still gonna show up pretty nice. So just kind of
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So would you normally, do you prefer doing the gem before or after? Like, is the step of masking, I know some people don't love masking.
Yeah.
So is the masking worth the time savings and the effect from the airbrush? Or like, which way do you actually prefer?
I mean, this is a question for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Right, when it comes to an airbrush. I want to show just one here, but I'm going to go through and do all of them right now before I paint, and then I'm going to mask.
So you're going to do the airbrush masking technique.
Yeah. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll try it out. Normally, like when I've done my Eldar tanks, my Saim Han army,
Yeah.
I did not do it that way. I did them at the end by hand. I don't know. There's a lot of them on this. It's a lot bigger. You know, for me, an airbrush is a time saver,
Yeah.
but also I personally cannot get an insanely smooth, sick, awesome look with hand painting all the time, right? So for me, you know, I would say I airbrush when I can.
Okay.
Not just for time, but also
Because you like the effect.
I like the effect. I can get it better on most things, yeah. What about you?
I find masking to be often a chore that I just don't enjoy the step. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The actual step itself is not fun.
Right.
And so even if it's maybe a little faster to do it the other way with the airbrush, I would paint the gems by hand. And also, sometimes I like the gems to have very discrete banding. Like, I almost like the band in the highest highlights and things like that.
Yeah.
And so that's an effect that really is a lot easier to get with the brush. So for me, I'm probably more of a brush man on the gems.
Yeah. Well, Brian, if you could do the top-down zoom one more time.
Sure, yeah.
I will show exactly what you're talking about. The difference between the airbrush and the non-airbrush one, you guys can see. The airbrush one has none of the banding, and you get this nice banding here with the hand-painted one. They're two different looks. It's sort of up to you what you want. With this hand-painted one right here, now that the first coat of Soulstone blue has dried, you can see it's a little less blue than the airbrush one. I could put another layer on by hand. And again, I always pushing it up towards where the black part is, so that the kind of streaky mess that this paint can leave you with ends up hiding in the black part. But the banding is easier to achieve, definitely, with the hand brush.
Absolutely.
How's this going?
It's coming along. Yeah. So I'm just getting the first base coat on. What I'm trying to do here is look for little places where I want it to be a little bit darker. Generally, I'm trying to get full coverage with this paint, but not full coverage in the same way we did the black. So I'm looking for little places where I can push and pull the black out a little more. We're going to be creating our shadows with a lot of this is our shadow color most of the time, but there is places where we're happier to let it kind of go a little blacker. So that's kind of what I'm just keeping an eye on here, is where I have a chance to do that.
Yeah, I like the idea of like thinking about giving it a little bit of thought rather than just going for it.
Yeah.
I will say that often I do just go for it.
Yeah, it's almost always gonna work out. And you know, when you're working on terrain with an airbrush, it's easy to fix. Like maybe not a model is always easy to fix, but terrain's always easy to fix.
Terrain's pretty forgiving.
It's forgiving, yeah.
Yeah.
Wonder what's everyone else working on tonight? I wonder anyone else got some terrain projects underway? I'd be curious to know what people are doing on their hobby night.
Yeah, chat. Let us know if you're doing anything. Well, anything really. Particularly exciting. A little later, we'll look at some fan work.
Yeah, lots of amazing stuff. If you don't know, of course, there is hobby channels in the Discord. Links in the description to the Discord, right?
Yep.
So you can go there and join the hobby community there, because even if you're not posting your work, there's some fabulous stuff. The community just does such great stuff.
Yeah. Last week we did a feature. There was of a giant Leviathan tank. Which
Leviathan Dreadnought or
no,
Leviathan
it's
tank?
like the tank.
Oh,
I showed you.
yeah.
It's like the church practically.
Yeah,
right?
I remember what you're talking about. It's beautiful.
yeah.
And so epic. And what a creative project, you know?
Super amazing. No big feature this week, but I do love looking for those epic projects that people have been turning out. Train is always a good example of that.
Broken Chef's doing some Cruel Boys. We were talking a lot about the Cruel Boys here today. We are all super excited here for the Cruel Boys. Not only is their model line spectacular, because it absolutely is, but their rules are really cool.
Yeah, they have some funky rules.
Yeah, I'm loving their rules. So excited to see that army definitely posted up. We've got our first super chat here from Matt. We previously talked about my son's first stealth suits. Oh, great unit. His name is Dex, black legs and arms, and blue armor, all with brushes. What advice would you give? Well, we both have Tau.
Yeah.
With bluish armor. I have very blue. And
I
you
have
have
green.
greenish
Mine's a little
blue.
greener, yeah.
And also with the black undercoat.
Yep.
So you're in good company there.
Yeah.
I did my first Tau with brush, and then I did my subsequent Tau with airbrush.
Right.
Tau have very smooth surfaces. You have got to put that paint on thin.
Yeah.
You know, if you know the joke in Warhammer, it's the two thin coats. Sometimes you get away without doing that, but not with the Tau battle suits.
No.
You really need to put the paint on quite thin, and that means think carefully about your base coat. If you're going for something light and you want to save yourself some trouble, maybe don't start with black. Maybe start with more of a mid-tone on your base coat color, and then you can easily paint the black on after. It's going to cost you some time on the black, but it's going to save you some time on the blue, and it's going to require a bit less skill on the blue. But generally, just take your time, paint it on thinner. You might need to do 2, maybe even 3 coats, but it's going to be worth it in the end. Smooth Tau is best Tau.
And the other thing, Matt has messaged us about getting his son into painting. I believe his son is 10, I want to say.
Okay, yeah, great age to get started.
Yeah.
That's about when I started with Weimar.
Yeah, I will say that I love, you'll see the contrast paints, and we used contrast paints last week here from Citadel on Zangors, and I think it's an awesome product. It has some interesting utility. I will say, kind of like Brian's saying, even Space Marines are a little less those open, smooth areas, kind of just on their shoulder pads is where it gets really, you get this big area. And I would say maybe don't use the contrast paints.
Oh yeah,
for
don't use the
cow
contrast paint.
Yeah.
Contrast paint works best on something with a lot of texture.
Yeah.
So you've got the fur of a cloak. Ooh, contrast paint,
Yep.
spot on.
Yeah.
But you've got the smooth surfaces of a tau. The contrast paint is going to blotch and streak.
Yep.
So it's not going to give you the right effect. I will say, this is one of the reasons tau's so popular is because they get this beautiful clean look in the end. But there is some slightly different techniques. You know, if you're painting certain armies, you can just base coat kind of crazy. You can wash like crazy. You know, if you got Death Guard, for instance, you
Yes.
wash them all over, it's going to
Yep.
look great.
Yep.
If you take a beautiful tau model and you slather it with Nuln Oil,
No.
it's going to look awful.
I'm always skeptical. You guys hear me say it's like and on the channel. I'm always skeptical of ending with a wash. In certain
People do
circumstances,
it. People
it's
do it
good.
a lot, and people here in this chat, I'm sure, will swear by it. Certainly, it's so common that it's a meme now, right? That you just dunk your models in Nuln Oil.
Yeah.
But we agree
Yeah.
that we like kind of fairly vibrant, crisp, clean colors.
Yeah.
Nuln Oil in particular is going to dull the whole model in a way that you probably won't be happy with. So with tau, you want to do what's often called the pin washing, which is you take the little crevices and you carefully paint in the wash into the crevices. Now you really do want this step. Without this step, you lose a lot of the pop that the model has, but that's actually the tricky step out of all of this. And there's a lot of...
recess. Yep.
Yeah, the
exactly.
recess washing, there's a lot you want to do to get that going. The trick I always use is I actually gloss coat the model, or at least I gloss coat that area, and that way, if I make a mistake, I can easily wipe it off, and it's
Yep.
a little more forgiving. And then I matte finish the whole model after.
Yeah. So what Brian's talking about is a good trick, and then you can go two other ways with that trick. And first, to be clear, what he's saying, the recess washing, I believe he's right. Like it is critical. A lot of people, Matt, I was gonna say, be a little cheeky and say, you know, Matt, 10 years old. I don't know if you're airbrushing, but maybe you guys could get into it together. I would actually always recommend, especially like a friend around our age or maybe a little younger, if they said, hey, I want to play 40K, I want to paint. I've never done either. I think I would always say like, get an airbrush right away. Like, let's teach you to airbrush almost before.
It's a large commitment if you're not sure they're sold on the hobby. There's a lot of people who dip their toes in the hobby and then don't come back.
Right.
If you get the impression that they're into the hobby and they're going to paint a whole army, or more, then the airbrush can be worthwhile. But you know, if they're just dipping their toes, it's a pretty big purchase.
This is a great conversation real fast. You're a parent, Matt's a parent, other parents in chat. This is a very good conversation. As a music person in the music education world, we sometimes wonder, like, your kid is old enough to start playing violin now. Do you get them how bad or good of a violin do you get them? And does that determine maybe if they keep playing violin or not? Could a bad violin make
dissuade them?
Dissuade them, and I think that's probably individual per kid.
Okay, here's what I'd say though. A bad violin.
I don't know
is
the
not
answer to this,
same,
by the way.
Yeah, a bad violin is not the same as a brush and paints, because you
No.
can master class with a brush and paints.
Yeah.
An airbrush is really just a different effect, and it is faster. So I don't know. You know, us knowing what we know in hindsight and how much we love this hobby, we would get the airbrush day one.
Yeah.
But you know, me dipping my toes at 10 years old, I would not be getting the airbrush.
Yeah, probably not.
Day one.
If I had a friend who said they were thinking about it and I recommended that, I'd probably be like, look, if you bail, I can always use a spare airbrush and tank. I'll be honest with you. Like, I need to be able to paint every day. So if I can suddenly not paint one day and I'm waiting like 3 days, you know, I'll buy it. But you may not have somebody in your community willing to buy your
airbrush.
your
Yeah.
airbrush.
We're airbrush elitists here. We love airbrushed.
So yeah, Matt, what I was going to say though about that is with airbrushing and getting into that. Let's say you're not going to do that. Another good point of advice, or a thing to pick up that I think is sort of like really big at helping people feel better about how their paint is working, is a wet palette. And I think, Matt, I might have suggested that to you when you asked last time. So I super encourage wet palettes.
Certainly helps when you're trying to do thin coats.
It certainly helps when you're trying to do thin coats. And you can hear a lot about people saying like, "Oh, we got to thin your paints with like thinners and stuff like that."
Nah.
Honestly, if you're staying on top of a wet palette, like literally and figuratively,
yeah,
you won't have to. Like you're gonna learn. You and your son are gonna learn quick to be like, "Oh, I just need to add a little bit less or spread it out a little bit more.
Yeah,
a little bit more water or something like that." So.
All right. Well, I finished my first color here. You're you're doing the first colors for all the gems, right?
I just finished
Or
white.
you're on your last color.
I'm on the last color. All I have left here is the spray of the.
So you're seeing the gems, which would have been one of the slow steps, he's turning into the fast step, and then the slow step is now the masking. Okay, so I'm just on to my next color here. I always take my time with the base coat first, because the base coat is where I make the decisions of where the highlights and lowlights are going to be. And so everything else is a paint by numbers after that, because I just follow the outlines I've made. So I always take kind of the longest time with that first.
That's an interesting take. I am the opposite.
Interesting.
I take more and more time as the more I go.
Well, yeah, because every, this is the final layer of paint, right? It's the one on the very top. I understand that.
Not so much the tinting, but that blue-gray, right?
Yeah.
And that's usually my favorite color. That's usually kind of like...
You really work that one.
The color you're doing right now is the second color out of 3. Then there's the tint, then the dry brush. Brett and I talk about on the stream about what color is the thing. And this is the color of this thing. It's like this greenish gray. It's literally called greenish gray, right?
Yeah.
Gray green or something?
Yeah, that's right.
This is the color of the thing. But in my opinion, if the thing was only this color, it wouldn't look good. What sells it is the next color he's going to do.
Yeah.
I think.
Big thank you to Ty. It's our next super chat here. If you were to run a narrative campaign in a historical period of 40K, what setting would you choose? Any thoughts on a competitive Firstborn Battle Company? Well, this is pretty easy for us. We've both played historical 40K. It's called 30K.
Yeah.
We love the Horsehair scene.
Yeah.
Right?
We do. Well, yeah.
We love the Horsehair scene.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic period, of course. Such a fantastic period. They've written probably the largest fantasy series of all time based on it. And it's so great. And they've all such great characters and battles, and these campaign books that they released are amazing, and the armies are amazing. So honestly, I do love 30K.
But let me ask you this, because I'm going to try to answer this myself. So let me ask you this. Could you, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Brian, but outside of, in between 30K and 40K, let's say we can't necessarily go earlier.
Yeah, okay.
I guess we could, but the model line wouldn't support it.
Yeah, you'd have to, you'd make your own Thunder Warriors.
Make your own Thunder Warriors, right? And if you've seen pictures of Thunder Warriors,
yeah, I know, they're derpy. They're derpy.
They're derpy.
Yeah.
Is there anything that like you would do that you'd want to do from like, I don't know, 3,500?
Yeah, so we talk about Tau a lot on the channel because we're Tau fans. But I got into Tau right when it first came out, and one of the things I loved is the first Tau Codex was told from the perspective of the Imperium. The first time they kind of encountered the Tau as a primitive race, and then there was the warp storm that stopped them from coming back, and they eventually came back, and the Tau was so advanced, and they made contact with them
in like 2,000 years, and they were like, oh, that shouldn't be there. They were they were expecting them to maybe have like flintlock guns or something, but instead they were like, who
spacefaring, And they actually met in, like, they had emissaries meet them and things like that, right?
Yeah.
Which isn't the story, like in 30K, everything is just like death to the Xenos instantly, you know? But there is a lot more, talking to them and collaboration. And so that kind of period would be a period that I was really excited about and I liked at the time, and I was kind of fascinated by the stories of humans meeting these aliens and the mystery behind how they advance so quickly, and the Space Marines being caught off guard by how advanced the technology was, and I think that's kind of fun.
There's like stories about the first time they encounter a rail weapon.
Yeah. And
they're like, oh, the tank was empty, and there's a hole in the front and a hole in the back, and everything, including the crew, was sucked out of the back hole.
Yeah.
That's terrifying, right?
Yeah.
And we also know that Brett loves that time period as well. Brett's been doing a little bit of research on the time a little bit even earlier, that pre-humanity, when the Tau first meet the crew. So that's also kind of a cool element. I'll say that there's a few cool little segments of like something you can make into a campaign. One of the things I also think could be super cool. Oh my God, there's almost too many of them. Oh, like getting all the Eldar and all your friends groups together.
Yep.
And playing some stuff that's like right after the fall. So it's all the Eldar and all the Slash demons you can find.
Yep.
And just going all over in different boards and like you'd be making up your own. There aren't a lot of complete stories to this.
Right.
But it'd be so cool because you'd be playing like these Craft World Eldar, and it'd be like, look, we don't know how this particular battle's going to go, but what's cool about this is whatever happens here, any of these Eldar left are probably going to become Exodites.
Right.
Like these are future Exodite Eldar, right? Like
Yeah.
It's almost cooler if you have like big collections of Eldar that are not like Biel-Tan or Saim-Han. You just have like random ones before the Craft World's really formed up.
That's right.
I think that could be super cool.
One of the things I actually really like from the 30K period that isn't really part of 30K was the War of the Beast against the Orc Wa, and the Emperor actually fighting alongside
Eleanor, up to Eleanor, right?
Yeah, exactly. And to me, that's a fun battle, and I've definitely tried to recreate that battle, and you have to make a lot of your own rules.
Yeah. Well, orcs used to be they're terrifying still. But they used to be way more terrifying. They're bigger. They're described as being bigger.
Yeah. The main orc, war boss there was larger than the Emperor.
Right.
And he was huge. He was the size of like a large vehicle
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was like a match for Primarchs.
Right. Like very seriously. Badab War is cool. There's also another cool one. There's this cool if you had an Imperial. You went through a little Imperial Civil War. It's called the Years of Shame, I think, and it's basically a conflict that takes place between some Guard factions, the Space Wolves, and the Grey Knights. And it just has to do with the Space Wolves being like, "Hey, you're not going to go down and murder this planet."
Yeah, that's right.
There's some chaos in there too, so you get like your question whenever you're doing a narrative campaign is like, how many people do you need to do stuff for, right?
Yeah.
So if you've got Guard, you got Space Wolf player, you got Grey Knight player, you got Chaos Demons player. You can do like these Years of Shame and just have like this weird Imperial Civil War with little demons on the side.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, somebody mentioned in chat the Badab War. What a fantastic time period.
Tyranids first showing up, Macrage, like all.
Oh yeah, so the
cool.
Tyrannic Wars for sure.
Yeah.
They made model lines for that, right? They made like the Tyrannic War veterans and things like that. So you can actually you can actually play some of. There's like official models for it. And they made some of the heroes for it. Okay, I'm almost finished this second color. Almost done here. We have another question here from.
This is amazing.
From Blake, non-40K, Bluey talk time. Oh, another fan of Bluey up in here.
Yeah. I've brought it up before.
What's your favorite episode, and why is it the best kids show of the last decade? My 1-year-old loves dancing to the intro. So if you don't know Bluey, which a lot of people don't.
Yeah, a lot of people don't.
Bluey is a kids show. It's on Disney, and is it from Australia or New Zealand?
I think Australia.
Okay.
Sorry, New Zealanders, if I get this wrong.
Well, it's from that region.
Yeah.
And it's about dog people, and there's a family with dog people, and there's 2 dog kids.
I mean,
and one of them's called Bluey.
You call them dog people makes it sound a little terrifying.
Yeah,
sure.
well, they're dog people. And one of the things that's unique about it is the episodes are short and likable, whatever else, but there's a weird realness to it, where the relationship between the parents and the children just feels like a normal family relationship.
Yes.
And it's so it's almost not over the top at all. It's like completely honest, real at all times. And that's the I don't know. There's something strange where they've turned it into that, but yet it's something exceptional. So it's just really lovable. And for some reason, when you see it, it's so simple, yet it's more than the sum of its parts. So it's a great show.
I don't know that I can speak well to specific episodes. I've seen like the first 2 or 3.
I've seen like the first season. And they all kind of blend for me.
Yeah.
So I don't have a favorite episode either. I haven't gone back and watched it multiple times because my daughter's actually a little bit older. So she loved it and whatever, but it wasn't the kind of thing she wanted to just watch over and over and over and over again.
I know. I know in the first episode of Bluey, there's like this situation actually where Bluey's kind of a jerk, and you're sort of like, I don't know about this Bluey guy.
Yeah.
He's kind of a bad apple. Chad, let me know if that is any better. We did have a little
some
camera
problems.
goofiness. Yeah, let me know if that looks better. Well, Wow, such a great Bluey question.
You know, we're always happy to talk about Bluey.
Sometimes you bring something up one time and you're just like, I just brought that up. That's whatever. Yeah. You don't imagine.
Why did you watch Bluey?
My niece and nephew came out, and they are, wait for it, like 14 and 17.
Yeah. No, people like it.
And they were just like kind of making, you know, my whole family is, we're kind of like.
They all have hot takes?
We're all kind of like lovable haters.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we're not lovable, but we hate on the things that we also secretly love.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we're like, oh man, this show Bluey is so goofy, blah, blah, blah. And then
it's a family of hot takers. That's great.
Then we like turn it on and we're like, God, this show. And then we're like 4 episodes in, like, man, this show's so goofy, huh? Like just like enjoying the whole thing. So, yeah, just a little Bluey in my life.
Okay, well, I just finished the second coat. One of the things I've been careful to do is leave spots. Like if I'm trying to leave a dark spot, every subsequent layer, I'm trying to make each layer kind of come through. And so sometimes I found I can go a little overboard with the second coat, and then it's like I never even did a first coat. So you do have to be a little careful sometimes to make some of it come through.
You can also go back with a previous coat.
Oh yeah, no problem, of course. Yeah.
Can I show Brian my masking? I want to show a couple of things.
Ooh.
Believe it or not, there is a little bit of strategy to the masking. So one of the things to keep in mind is that when you're masking these things with the putty, again, remember, I don't want to like freak you out and say like, oh, you got to be really careful, you got to move fast, because the putty does like return to a flat state, right?
Yeah, it's not so quick, but it does happen.
It does happen. So you can't, if this is the type of thing you're like, I'm going to do this the night before, and then like, oh, it'll be awesome, I'll wake up in the next morning and get to painting. You're not going to be happy with what you've got. Nothing's going to be ruined. You're just going to have to do a lot of it over again. The other thing I will say when you're masking, look for areas where you can mask with your hand instead of taking the time to do what I'm doing right here. Let me give you guys an example. This is going to kind of all be like a stonish, brownish, building up to green color. It's going to look like the head. We'll show you guys the head here in a second. This is going to be a silver dry brush that I'm basically going to get here. So I'm actually just, as I paint the stone color with an airbrush, I'm just going to like cover this with my hand. And the reason is that I got to paint over this with a dry brush anyway.
I see. So you're saving yourself a bit of trouble.
Saving myself a bit of trouble from a masking perspective.
He's a man who likes to live dangerously.
I will also say this. These two little tiny ones right here, this little guy and this little guy, I'm just going to spray paint over them. Like they're no longer going to be gems.
Okay.
It's a little too annoying. Or I'll just hit them with, do it by hand.
Just do it by manual.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Just do it by hand real quick.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me show you. I've made a little bit of progress here. You can see the center where you can see the gradient. That's irrelevant. There's going to be the pieces on top. And actually, it would be darker underneath there, naturally. So you're seeing here a bit more of the colors. Now, there's particular places like underneath here, at the side of this rock, maybe you can see, there's the gradient kind of going down to the darkest part. Because this is curving kind of upward here, the light coming straight down would not really be hitting that contact point at the bottom. So it's a little bit darker around that bottom ridge. So I've got a kind of stronger gradient there. Same thing, this is like a little lip that kind of comes out. I'll show it here a little more. Little lip that comes out here, and so it gets a little darker on that under ridge as well. I try to be a little darker right at the contact points. If you do 3D graphics like I do, this is called ambient occlusion basically. It's like a little dark spot at the contact point between two objects. It's a common little thing that happens. So that's where I'm trying to do it. Now I'm just going to do the lightest highlight color and just try to pick up some points that are getting the best highlight.
I had the worst thing happen to me, Brian.
You spilled some paint somewhere? Or?
No. I missed a gem. I missed one step.
That is, you know what? That is the worst thing that could ever happen because now you got to go through all three colors just for the one gem.
This is I was being a little dramatic.
You only missed one color.
It's only the blue.
Okay. Well, then I have no sympathy.
Yeah, it's not bad. But if you miss a whole gem, it's the worst.
It's the worst.
It's the worst. At that point, you are kind of like...
Might as well give up and go paint them by hand.
Yeah. Definitely. Oh, sorry, the last question, not the Bluey-based one, but the other one, I was also asking, Brian, use some kind of competitive question about what was it? Something Battle Company?
Oh yeah. What about Firstborn? So Firstborn Marines, often the name for the Marines that are not Primaris, and they're generally a little less effective. And so how do you make them work? Well, there's a cheat answer to this. The cheat answer is use any of the chapters that have special Firstborn Marines. So this is Dark Angels and Space Wolves and Blood Angels. In particular, Dark Angels and Blood Angels have the best Firstborn Marines. So the Dark Angels Terminators, absolutely lethal. Fantastic. Even their bikes, great. And the Blood Angels Sanguinary Guard and Death Company, and all of that's great. And even their characters like Dante, super duper strong and great. So that's the cheat way. If you wanted to use the pure Space Marine book and you wanted to use a pure Space Marine faction like Ultramarines or something like that, then you'll look at what are the coolest and most powerful original Marines, and that's Vanguard Veterans. They're so great, absolutely fantastic, and I love them the most. And other than that, Terminators would be the other unit that I would go for that I think are great, have a ton of personality, and are actually good.
Can I just ask, what do you think is going on with Terminators? Are we going to get some kind of, have we got a Primaris equivalent? Are we going to get some kind
We have Gravis, which is the Primaris kind of big tough guy.
Yeah, but it's not quite the same, right? Is it?
I mean, no. It's not. It doesn't have the Terminator keyword. It's not supposed to be
No.
Terminator, but it is like they're big tough guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. It kind of lacked, they kind of lack that, I guess I don't see people take close combat ones. They sort of lack the...
Well, yeah, so the close combat version was the original one they came out with, which was the Aggressors, and they have double power fists.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Which is, people don't think of them as combat because they also had like 50 shots per model.
Right.
But that's Primaris for you. They do everything, right?
Yeah.
So...
yeah, they lack that kind of like swordsman, like get up there and
the
be
swordsman
like
is the new Blade Guard veterans.
Blade Guard,
and
right,
those guys are the same number of wounds as a Terminator, and they have an even better armor save. Or they have the same armor save, 2 up, sorry. So that's generally the way it works.
So. If I had to guess, I don't know, I wonder, it's like...
I would love to see some Primaris Terminators.
I think that'd be something of it, right?
I think that'd be great.
Be very interesting how they would accomplish that. Yeah, I guess in my mind they haven't quite accomplished that yet.
Sure. So what you're saying is they need to release more Space Marines?
No. Yes, but not yet.
It sounds like that's what you're saying.
Some other stuff needs help.
All right, Games Workshop, you heard it. I guess we need more Space Marines. Zach has spoken.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm sure they've heard you. I'm sure there'll be more to come.
Yeah, I have a hunch that they were planning on that anyway.
On more Space Marines?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's your hot tip right there?
Yeah. we don't have any kind of drop pod for Primaris yet.
Honestly, that's actually I think a crime because drop pods are so cool. They're such a big part of the lore.
Big part of the lore.
And you're right that you can't. In fact, transports in general for Primaris were tough. They brought the Impulsor out, which is the little El Camino, which is the best transport they have, I think, because the repulsors are just 1 billion points.
Yeah.
But I think they need a drop pod. I agree.
This is surprising, but I'm sure we'll get it eventually.
I hope so.
I guess I'm most surprised.
I love drop pods.
I guess I'm most surprised at that kind of fortification kit thing. That wasn't like a dual kit. That was also.
You know what? I love that. I've painted up 2 of them for the channel.
Yeah.
And I really think they're cool. The Hammerfall bunker, they're called.
Yeah.
And I actually think they're cool, but I realized that when they announced them, they kind of announced them as though that in the story they kind of drop from space. Mm-hmm. That's their Hammerfall bunker. They like come down, and I thought they had that rule. I thought they had deep strike.
Oh, okay.
They don't. You just deploy them.
Yeah.
And that's lame. I wanted them to deep strike, and like you drop your little automated fortification bunker. That would have been so cool. But the fact that they don't do that, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And it took away a bit of the fun for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little surprised. I like you. I thought that I kind of just assumed they had it when I first found out.
Yeah, I just assumed because that's what they in the Warhammer community article. That's what they said. But
yeah,
not so much. Okay, I think I'm almost done with this highlight here. What do you think, Zach? Did I
that's
did I
awesome.
make it happen?
How's it looking? Yeah, it looks perfect compared to the...
I mean, it's hard to tell right now because it doesn't have the built-in
the tint is big.
tinting, so it's not a one-to-one.
Honestly, even the dry brush
The dry brush is going to make it pop a ton.
changes the
Yeah.
equation
So,
a lot.
Either way, so this is the thing. Zach made the other ones, and I made this, and I didn't see him do the other ones. So I'm just following my own intuition here on how I think it comes together. But everyone has their own kind of style for approaching this kind of problem, right?
It's true, and I'll be honest with you, what Brian just described there, like I did one and now I did two and he's doing another. Normally, if you were like buddying up on train with like a group of people, I would say don't do that.
Generally, you want it to line up and be the same.
Yeah, have each person kind of do the same
A certain
thing.
step, Well, and truthfully, we would do them all. Once we loaded up the airbrush, we would do it all at once.
Yeah.
I love the efficiency of putting the paint in the airbrush once and saving myself the time in between.
For the stream, it's kind of interesting. We actually kind of have to sort of intentionally be inefficient often.
Right, because we want to show you the steps.
Yeah, and
we're doing it for you.
And we want to have a finished one at the start. So I almost always have to make a finished one first, right?
Yeah.
The centerpieces are a little different though, because there's only going to be one of them. I'm not going to actually that's where I draw the line. I'm not going to make two center.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So what do you got going on over here? What colors are you using for this? This is interesting.
Yeah. So a weird warm color going on here.
This is Morfang brown. I actually use Morfang brown quite a bit.
Yeah. This is on my actually.
I use this on my Imperium bases. A lot of my Imperium armies are based with Mornfang brown as one of the primary colors.
Interesting. I use it on my Beast Claw Raiders, but oddly enough, not on my Mornfangs, except for on their straps.
Right. It's a good leather. It's a warm, nice, leathery color.
Yeah. It is a base coat. You can see I missed a couple gems down here as well, so I'm just using my finger real fast.
So why brown as a base coat? Tell them what's the top color going to be?
The top color, ooh, that's a bad gem to miss. Oh, I see what's going on here. Sorry, guys. Okay, actually, let's see. We'll put it on the glam cam real quick, and you guys can see what we're going to build up towards.
Okay.
It's this head.
Oh, I see. Yep, right. This is actually, I think, going to be surprising to people because this is like a statue head, and this is made of the same kind of wraithbone style that you wanted to show here.
Yes.
Right? This kind of weathered, sea-weathered wraithbone, right?
Exactly, yeah. So we're doing sort of like a brown undercoat, and then from there we're going to move up to this color that you see here.
Which is like a mixture of like greenish whites.
Yeah, pretty much.
And grays. This is cool because the brown undercoat is really going to give the shadows that warmth, right?
Yes.
Which makes it feel like it's more of, I don't know, like a living thing in a way. You know what I mean?
I just really, and really recently, like kind of ever since I painted my Beast Claw Raiders, I typically have kind of like teched in either warm or cool colors with my painting schemes. And for this particular, I don't know, after painting them, I realized like you can do some cool things if you really give a lot of thought into like where's something going to be warm and where's something going to be cool. And so I've been doing that more, and I kind of like the results. So I figured I would build up from this, honestly, to what it's called the Othwa Gray, right?
Ulthuan Gray, yeah.
Ulthuan Gray, and so
nice,
which is like almost like a cool white.
Yeah. So I am now airbrushing the Bealtan wash over top. This is basically going to be a translucent green. So this is what's going to get that final green color on it. And what's cool about it is it's going to allow our under shading to come through very strongly.
Yes.
Which is a lot of fun. This is a very popular technique, but funny enough, it's not one I typically use, not for any particular reason, other than I just don't often work on things where this technique is the way to go.
I feel like it's like a big terrain thing, right?
Yeah, and you're the terrain maker in our family here. So you do this, I'm sure, quite a bit, but I don't do it that often.
We pretty much always tint things here. Yeah. Basically always.
Yeah, because you love this kind of, and I love this too, this idea of like a clear unifying color theme.
Yep.
Both on an army and on a board, right?
Totally.
And so the tinting really helps tie everything together, right?
Big time. I mean, like, really big time.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't like not, I don't know. I wouldn't not tint a terrain board.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know, even non-oil is kind of like, Like usually I don't even just use non-oil to tint. Like often I'll use non-oil plus like Anthonian camo shade as the board.
Yep.
I don't know, I like the greens and yeah, I don't know. Your purple board, right? That we
Yes.
did. That one is non-oil actually though. That's one of the only few I did that's just like all non-oil. I didn't want to tint it purple. I think it would have been insane.
Could have been cool.
It could have. It could have.
Insanely cool.
So I think that my finger technique to shield these
Yeah.
worked not great.
Yeah, I was skeptical when you said it, but you know, glad we tried it.
I will say,
Shortcuts often turn into long cuts.
yeah, exactly. That's okay. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of. I still think it's just gonna be like, as opposed to redoing a whole gem, I think it's just gonna mostly be touch up. And oddly enough, the bottom one, which is the one I don't shield, well, no, that bottom one didn't come up. It's gonna be a little bit of touch ups. I still think touch up is okay. Better than redoing a whole gem.
Yep.
I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I stand by it. Brian, should we let's look
Zach
at some,
standing by crazy?
Yeah.
Never, and never have I heard that.
let's look at we want to look at some fan stuff when you get a chance?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we
got some really cool stuff this week.
yeah, so this one, now, as you guys know, we've got this on like this timer, and we were kind of discussing, maybe we need to slow the timer down. So we'll talk about different things. We'll let it run through a few times and make sure we say just a few things about everything that shows
So
up.
where are these all coming from?
These come from fans on Discord, and
Right.
frankly, some people just post their stuff and probably are like, hey, I'm just posting my stuff, and don't watch the stream and are even unaware that I'm doing this. But other people know to tag, put their name on there. There's something I think from Broken Chef here today. Actually, I think the next one's from Broken Chef. That looks amazing, if it is what I think it is. Let me see here. But fans in the Discord, oh no, here's an ultramarine, which also looks amazing.
Oh, I love this Ultramarines.
We love
Dreadnought.
we love Redemptor.
Clean Dreadnoughts and clean Ultramarines look so amazing. I love this. This picture today
This is Broken Chef, yeah.
made me want to go and paint this unit. I
Yeah.
love the Wood Elves, or in this case, and this is really epic.
Yeah.
Because this actually arrived
We got this
in our
today.
studio today.
Yeah.
We did get this Star Wars Legion whole army delivered to us. We're actually going to do a whole video unveiling it, and we're going to be playing a couple big games with it. We have some custom terrain that was sent to us that we're going to be painting up as well, so you'll be
Yes.
seeing that. Really excited for that. These Necrons look amazing. I've just been playing a lot of Necrons, so these Necrons look fantastic. And of course, this is my favorite of all the gods
Yes.
in Age of Sigmar, which is Lord Croak. I'm working on this model too at home, so this was big inspiration for me.
Super amazing. I love the Lord Croak model.
Yeah.
We were kind of saying like it's almost like a terrain piece.
Yeah,
He's almost a diorama. I mean, he pretty much is a diorama, right?
yeah, it's cool.
Can we call Lord Croak a diorama model?
Why not?
I love it. Like, yeah, highly compelling. So the other cool. Let's see what else is going on here. There's some other cool stuff. Oh yeah, here's this.
I'll give you the water.
Oh yeah, I took yours. I love this Grey Knight with the shield that they have in the transgender flag color. Super cool. And the Grey Knight looks amazing. And I didn't even see the shield there first, but super cool. Yeah, I'm into non-metallic Necrons.
Yeah, you really like the non-metallic Necrons. I like Necrons almost anyway, but I certainly like the classic. That's what my army's painting is.
Classic is hard to beat.
But there's so many creative things you can do with Necrons.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the best armies for just raw creativity, I think. You can do so many cool effects with them. Because they're ancient, you know, you can... I know people don't love them being weathered because they're supposed to be a living metal that repairs itself, you know, so it's kind of weird that they're rusting. But, you know, who cares? Do what you want. It's fun.
Totally. Well, there we go. And then, Brian, if you had overlay one, this is, by the way, folks, how to get to us. So, you know, join the Tabletop Titans Discord, link it below, as always. Post stuff in the hobby channel that makes sense. What do we mean by that? There's a few different channels. This is kind of what Brian was asking. Where do we get this from? There's like hobby progress. There's like finished, like please give me some feedback channels. There's terrain channels. There's all kinds of channels. I surf all of them a little bit and find stuff I like, and we'll pick from anything.
Very cool.
Even one day I should go through the hobby setup channel.
Yeah.
And just post everybody's hobby setup.
Yeah. We love a good hobby setup. We talked a lot about even just our hobby setup here, right? And how to do it. So definitely a good hobby setup we love. Okay, so let me just show you what I got going on here. So I just did the BL tan over top. So it's very green tinted now. It's definitely come a long way. We can see here it doesn't have the highlights quite of this one because it doesn't have the dry brushing yet. The dry brushing is definitely going to bring it up a little bit. So that's the general thing we've got going on here. So pretty cool. This really dark area kind of in the center, that's just going to be underneath it's going to be underneath the kind of wood that's going over top. Or I guess this one's wraithbone kind of flooring.
Yeah.
Man, wraithbone flooring, that'd be really premium.
Now, there's one thing I forgot to tell you.
All right. I used all the wrong colors?
No, you did everything right. It's just that we actually wanted to put these floorings on before we tint, because we want it to be also tinted. But
yeah,
this
I
might
hear
be
you.
I think I know what you're gonna say. We don't actually want it quite as much coverage, right? You
Yeah.
really covered this, so
Yeah. I think having it separate is totally fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can see here again, I'll show you just kind of on my top down here. So we do this is actually the MDF. You can see it's much more white here. And there's little spots. And where he's done these spots, he's actually put plants, right? It's like growing out from there.
Yes.
You've got a bit more, whatever, moss or algae. And so it isn't quite as much coverage. So let's go and do that. Let's see what we can do.
And the flooring, I was kind of wondering, like, Brett is in chat. He's gonna scream when I say this. I actually don't know that I want to glue it. You're gonna see it kind of slots in and it stays there pretty good.
I see. Because then in your mind this could be more a versatile piece? Or?
No, just that it won't break bad. It won't break in a way that ruins pink foam.
Oh, you're worried about it ripping off. Because it's not hanging over the lip.
It probably won't.
It's not gonna have a problem, I think. Personally, I would glue it because if you could glue it, you could do an interesting thing where you kind of put little plants right at the corners, like where you're half and half a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you get a bit more. I think you'll get a slightly better effect.
Well, I'm okay with it either way, but now you're the one on the hook when it breaks.
That's fine. Let me show everybody what's going on with these. These are looking sharp. I'm really liking the color that came out on this. I think a lot of people wouldn't suspect to do that brown undercoat.
Yeah.
But it's done a lot for this.
Brown undercoat under like a cool gray is like my new thing. It just gives it like such a wacky, I don't know.
I love it.
Yeah.
It seems, because wraithbone is such an interesting material, right? It's a living material in a way, that they grow. And so having this color scheme makes it somehow ethereal, makes it somehow special, right? Something different.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I think it's really cool.
One of the things I'm wondering, I think we're okay now, but one of the things I'm kind of wondering
Tell me.
about our focus thing is if it's this apron that Meg sent.
Oh, with the faces? Does the focus keep going out?
No, I think it's okay, but I just noticed it's like this bright white streak. Okay, here, I'm doing the fun part.
Ooh, okay.
BL tanning it up. Now, as I BL tan green this, and Brian's like, wait, I have the BL tan, but that's how much BL tan we have around here.
We have many of them.
As I BL tan this, I'm not going to go all the way up too much because the green really represents like weathering from plant matter and algae.
Right. You want the white to kind of be coming through at the top, right?
Yeah. I'm going to go about 2/3 of the way up. Actually, maybe closer to 3/4. And I'm going to especially hit some areas down here where there's like where the water and plant life could stand. I'm going to be a little less aggressive on the vertical facings. It's supposed to be horizontal facings. Because we've also been putting little plants around on these things, as you guys have seen on this board, which they're going to be using on Titans right after the TTTTTT.
Oh yeah, that'll be exciting.
Yeah. So if you remember, you'll get to see it first on a week from yesterday. There we go. That easy.
One of the things I'm going to show you here is I'm actually making sure that I line it up correctly, so that if I did want to have a fade carryover.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, good idea. And yeah, looking good. You can be also, Brian, just heads up, let me hand you one of these so you can see. Feel free to put a couple areas where it's just like all in, like just like blast them up. And don't worry, like it's, even if it looks like, wow, that's too much, it's not. Wherever you put like a big puddle, that's what that's gonna represent, like a puddle. And we're gonna just put like more plants around there. That said, think about where you would want the plants, right? Okay, we get to do something we love to do on this channel. We get to do a masking reveal.
That's very, very satisfying, right?
Yeah, let's have a peek. I did one real quick just to make sure it wasn't utterly ruined. There we go. Yeah, yum. Oh my god, I love a good. Ooh, a little blue there. That's probably okay. This one, I did not clean. I did not mask, and so I went just like
No, you need to show them what not to do. You
Yeah,
know?
here's
Don't
what
do
not
what
to.
Donnie Don't does.
Here's like a little bit of blue, so I'll have to clean that up. That one's pretty much perfect. That one's basically perfect. This one, perfect enough. If such a thing exists. This one, perfect enough. That one, utterly perfect. Oh, here we go. These are the ones that really matter. Here we go. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. So you got like a little bit of a weird angle there on that one, so I got to clean up a little bit there. Oh, that one not so good. So we'll have to do a little bit of cleanup. You can see the masking technique, not perfect. Some of them are.
But you were rushing the masks.
I was, to be honest with you. Yeah, I actually rush a lot of stuff.
No, we're trying to make television here.
Trying to make television, yeah, but it's okay. The cleanup is going to be very easy. We're going to use honestly just Biltan green, thick enough that it just darkens it up. Ooh, there we go. Oh no, I forgot to do these. Boom, boom, little one. Oh my god, this is a lot of, this is a big reveal. We've never done this many demaskings in one go. Okay, but the gems, right? Like, gems are so important. Like, if you're, like, you just need things to break up space, even on terrain. Like,
Yeah.
just to break up like a big area of color, right? So I think like it's, you gotta do your gems. Okay, I will show real quick what I would say, how are we gonna fix some of our messes here. I'm gonna try a couple things that I'll show. The first one, I'm gonna try the easiest thing first and hope that it works. So I'll show you guys here, and you can be the judge if it works or not. I'm pretty much just going to go around it with some Biltan green.
Okay.
And it is pretty good. It definitely works for wherever the